If you are watching this, that means that we have made it through another week because this is a weekly wrap-up.
To start off this weekly wrap-up, I'm going to start with a monthly wrap-up. That is right, on Monday on my blog, I wrapped up the month of February in a video form, talking about all the books I read in February. A lot of them were for school, but I did do more reading than I thought I did, so yay me!
Surprise, surprise! I also had a February wrap-up on Monday, although mine was the bloggy, wordy type, because Monday is Gretchen's day on the YouTube channel. I'm not gonna take her day away from her. Plus, I like the way it looks when I have all of the books going back and forth on my blog. So, if you would like to see what I read and how I'm doing on my Goodreads challenge and my Pop Sugar challenge, go check out my post.
Tuesday, if you haven't realized by now, is Betwixt the Books Day. For this segment of Betwixt the Books, we had another round of 30 Seconds to Disagree. This is a wonderfully quick feature where we take some time to recommend a book to the other person that we think they might not want to read, and then tell them why they should read it anyways. For my pick, I told Michaela to read The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson, which is a great YA fantasy trilogy, which are 3 things Michaela hates to hear. So, check that out!
My 30 Seconds to Disagree video was on Get in Trouble by Kelly Link. Now, we have done a book club video on Magic for Beginners by Kelly Link, and Gretchen hated it. So when Taylor gave her this copy of a different collection of short stories, she was apprehensive. She's had it for several months now, so I figured I might help her out because I too have read that collection and loved it. So if you would like to hear about some of the weird stories in that, you should go see that video. Also to watch Gretchen get so mad at me because I didn't tell her that that was what I was going to pick.
On Wednesday, shocker McShocker, I had a Worth It Wednesday post. This week I chose Serafina by Rachel Hartman. Yes, I know, Shadow Scale, the second book in that duology, did make my top 5 most disappointing reads of 2015, but just because that book was not as good as Serafina does not mean that this duology isn't really, really good and really, really amazing. And, you know, so what if the second book isn't as good? It's still a really good book, and you should still definitely read it, because dragons and duologies, and something very, very interesting happens with the romantic relationships in that book, which I will probably make a video explaining more about later. But anyways, read the series.
My Wednesday post was actually one of the most popular things I have ever done on my blog ever. It was an ARC review of When We Were Alive by C.J. Fisher. You guys might know her as Ophelia Dagger here on YouTube. I sort of wanted to do this as a video, but I ended up doing it as a post because I got really behind this week because I got called into work 2 extra days that I wasn't supposed to be working. So I sort of had to rush, and it takes more time to make a video, so I ended up just writing it out as a post, and it seems to be wicked popular, even though it was written out. So this was really friggin' good, guys. Like, you don't understand. One of my top books so far of the year, maybe one of my top books ever, and I sort of knew it was gonna be that when I picked it up. So, you should read this. It's out now. Also, go read my review of it because it's spoiler-free. I talk about the themes of the novel and all of that stuff that I think were done really well.
My Thesis Thursday this week was a 1-book continuation of the Sources book haul that I did last week, but basically it's just me saying, time to get shit done. I have to have a draft of my 2nd chapter, but done before break. I am flying out to LA on the Thursday of this week, so I gotta get shit done. Hopefully by the time you see this video, shit is already done. If it isn't, just know that I am crying. Crying very deeply.
On Friday, I actually had another ARC review for you guys, so 2 ARC reviews in 1 week. That's crazy. You might remember this one because I talked about it last month at some point, but I read The Slow Boat to China and Other Stories by Ing Kim Chu, and that will be out next Tuesday, so I did my review of it this Friday so that you can go and pick it up when it comes out on New Book Release Day. This is a collection of translated short fiction by a Malaysian author who has been living in Vietnam. So it was a little bit confusing because I wasn't sure if it was a Vietnamese author or a Malaysian author. He was born and grew up in Malaysia, lives and works in Vietnam. Most of the stories take place in Malaysia and revolve around a conflict with the Chinese-based Malaysians versus the Malaysian native population. It sort of discusses the tensions and so on that go on between that. A lot of them take place in rubber tree forests, which were very descriptive, and you feel like you're there. Despite my never having been to Malaysia, I feel like I know it a little bit better after reading these. If you would like to hear my review of these, go do that, and also read it, because translated fiction is great. Is the translator on here so I can tell you who did that? Hold on one sec. I feel like there should be a translator written on here somewhere, but there is not. Ah! Carlos Rojas. The translator of this work was Carlos Rojas. It took me a little bit to find that because his name is not on the cover or the first page of the book. It's like hidden in the copyrights page. That's a bit weird. Anyway, he's the one who translated it. Go read it. They were great and interesting and very well written.
My Friday post was a video review of this book, Monique and the Mango Rains by Chris Holloway. It's another one of those books for my spiritual journeys classes that you might remember from my back to school book haul. I wasn't sure if I was going to review this book, and then I finished it, and it became really important for me to do so because I initially rated it 4 stars on Goodreads because of the emotional impact of the end, and then I thought about it. Smells like white privilege. So check out that review to hear my thoughts on that and the thought process behind what I just said. So, very interesting.
Welcome to the portion of the video where we talk about the books that we read this week. I'm going to go first because I actually read less than Gretchen did, which is amazing. But again, like I said earlier, I got called into work 2 extra days that I wasn't expecting and had my hours lengthened on another day. I have been working nonstop. Today's been my first day off in like 6 days. So tired. Anyway, one of those things, surprise, surprise, I read When We Were Alive by C.J. Fisher. I was running to catch up with this, but I managed to read it all and get that review out in time for you guys, so I read this one. The other thing I read is also exciting because it is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Next week, we will be having an Imbibliomancy episode where we talk about this one, so you definitely need to read it if you haven't read it already, and then show up for our live stream. If you want to know when exactly that's happening, you should follow us on Twitter, or follow at Bibliomancy101 on Twitter, or join the Goodreads group. All of those places will tell you everything you need to know. Shilling, my own stuff. Book club, let's do it.
Michaela made that sound like I have this super impressive list of books for you, but the fact of the matter is that all of them were in some way required reading. So the first one that you might guess is Monique and the Mango Rains by Chris Holloway. Anyways, I'm not going to say much about this because I just did, so, you know, there's that. I also read, finally finished The Mermaids and Other Mysteries of the Deep anthology, edited by Paula Guerin. This is a review that Taylor and I have been promising you guys for like a month now, and we finally managed to fit this into our schedule. So that review should be out next week if we can get our, lives together. But finally finished this. You'll have to wait to see what I think about it and see that 7-second clip of Taylor being a moron that I promised you from the outtakes of our after anthology review. The rest of these are all for my thesis. They're not very exciting, so I'm going to blow through them really quickly. The first one is The Culture Industry by Theodore Adorno. This is a Frankfurt School theorist who's talking about the mass market and mass production of culture and what that does to our culture. This is for my book covers review, YA book covers, so I'll let you interpolate why those things are connected. It's a really hard thing to guess. I also read, and this is like the really crappy library cover. Pretend it has a pretty cover. This is Judging a Book by Its Cover, awkwardly enough. Fans, Publishers, Designers, and the Marketing of Fiction. This is edited by Nicole Matthews and Nikki Ann Moody, if you care at all. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's theory about book covers and how they market books. Surprise. In the same exact vein, I also read By Its Cover, American Book Cover Design, This is edited by Ned Drew. This looks super impressive. It's like a coffee table book, which I was not expecting, but like really, really pretty and talking about different design styles. Not as informative as I wanted it to be, but yeah, it was, all of this work, guys. But yeah, that actually makes 5 books that I read this week, so go me, even if they weren't all that exciting. That has been our weekly wrap-up and what we read. If you saw all of this stuff already and read it all, we love you and you are our favorite people in the world. If you didn't, you know, go check it out. That's what this is here for. All of the links will either be in the eye up above or in the links down below. So it's very easy. Click, find, go, seek, destroy. We'll see you next week. Bye!